Prime Minister, but this is in itself very discursive, and it is not relevant to the precise responsibility of a member of the government. So we'll leave it. Order, I don't require any guidance. We'll leave it there. Jack Straw.
Conservative MPs complaining that's outrageous.
Mr. Speaker, well, let us just come on to this issue of affordability. Not the reason he or the Prime Minister gave originally, but let's look at the issue of affordability. He says that he's concerned about affordability, but for a start, this is a loan, not a grant, to help Sheffield Forgemasters build Britain's future in low-carbon manufacturing. He's not prepared to make this loan, but why is he prepared to acquiesce in the spending of £550 million a year on so-called tax breaks for marriage, a policy which he himself described as patronising drivel?
Mr. Speaker, the right honourable gentleman is living in complete denial. When we came into government, we discovered that the structural deficit was £12 billion worse than he had led us to believe. His government had announced £50 billion worth of cuts without having the decency to tell the British people what you were going to do about it. And the former Chancellor, we now discover from Lord Mandelson's infinitely helpful memoirs, had actually planned to increase VAT, lower tax for people on low pay, and cut corporation tax. Does that sound familiar? Yes, it does. We had to do it. They didn't have the courage to do it.
Mr. Speaker, I note that the right honourable gentleman didn't say a word about his acquiescence in spending £500 million a year on marriage tax breaks, which he himself has criticised. And no wonder, Mr. Speaker, that his noble and newfound friend, Lord Ashcroft, says today, and I quote, even in the...
Order! I want to hear what the noble lord has been saying. Let's hear it. Jack Straw, there's far too much noise. Jack Straw.
Says today, even in the Liberal Democrat-held seats, less than a quarter of voters thought the Liberal Democrats were having a significant impact on the government's agenda. And don't we have it here, Mr. Speaker? First, the right honourable gentleman blamed the cancellation of the loan on the company's unwillingness to dilute the shareholding. Then he said it was unaffordable. Last week, he told the Yorkshire Post that Sheffield Forgemasters didn't need a loan after all. I'm not surprised they're baying, because this is one excuse after another. He said,
Conservatives are protesting to the Speaker.
Order! Members are beside themselves. I'm quite worried about their health. They really do need to calm down. Order, but I simply say to the right honourable gentleman that I do want there to be some time for backbench members. Mr. Jack Straw.
He said to the Yorkshire Post, Forgemasters can find the money for expansion elsewhere. Now we know that they cannot find that money, as they said yesterday. Hasn't the whole edifice of his argument been demolished? And why on earth will he not reconsider this ludicrous decision?
Thank heavens this is going to be the last time he's at a dispatch box like this. It seems to me he needs to go away and practice a bit more. Mr. Speaker, he talks about impact. Let me just ask him this. Why did his government do nothing to sort out the banks who were not prepared to offer a decent loan at reasonable rates to Forgemasters? We imposed the levy, his government did not. Why is it that pensioners had to wait until this coalition government came into power to restore the earnings link, which he failed to do for 13 years? Why is it that his party scrapped the 10p tax rate? We have taken 800,000 people on low pay out of paying tax altogether. That is more progress in 10 weeks than he managed in 13 years.
Claire Perry.
Mr. Speaker.
Claire Perry.
Well, actually, I think Jack Straw is expecting to ask his sixth question.
I think the right honourable gentleman has had his allotted span.
No, he's not. He's only had 5, and Jack Straw is entitled to 6.
With apologies to the honourable lady for devices, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Just over a month before the election, the right honourable gentleman warned about the dangers of the kind of policies he's now following. He said, just imagine the reaction of my constituents in southwest Sheffield. People like that are going to say, who are these people telling us they're suddenly going to take our jobs away? Who are these people? Well, Mr. Speaker, now we know who these people are. Are they not the Liberal Democrats? People who are giving power to the Conservatives without any influence over the policies which they used to oppose.
Mr. Speaker, he may bellow as much as he likes. I am happy to account for everything we're doing in this coalition government. A coalition government. A coalition government which has brought together two parties working in the national interest to sort out the mess that he left behind. But maybe he, one day, perhaps we'll have to wait for his memoirs, could account for his role in the most disastrous decision of all, which is the illegal invasion of Iraq.
Labour MPs busy pointing towards the Conservatives because they voted for Iraq as well.
Order! Order! The House really must start to behave itself. We've made slow progress. Order! That progress must get faster from now on with short questions and short answers. Claire Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Third time lucky.